Welcome to Rainbow Soul Vodcast, where our soul astrology comes forward to help you manage your everyday life, with forecasts and deep dives on natal charts and queer perspectives on the planets, transits, and more. A group discussion about upcoming transits with tips on how to read these transits in your own chart. Hollis offers years of wisdom and natal chart knowledge with Bright Hawk's positive perspective and Lacrosse's inquiry. We offer the complete queer astrology experience. Welcome to Rainbow Soul. Please help us by subscribing, sharing, and commenting and reviewing. You can also learn where else Rainbow Soul is offered on our website at rainbowsoul.show.
Connections. Hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Apparently, we got a thumbs up. We didn't even do anything except for say hello, and we made it mostly on time.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rainbow Soul Astrology. Happy St. Patrick's Day, if that's something you celebrate. I think if you know the real meanings behind St. Patrick's Day, it's another holiday that's very hard to celebrate. I find the myth making in the United States about St. Patrick is almost right up there with the myth making of Columbus. You know,
Yeah, it is.
Like how did this get selected as a holiday? I'm all about celebrating the Irish because, of course, I'm Irish.
So we just try to keep it about that. Oh, man.
Yeah. And we'll have the turning from Pisces to Aries. So happy birthday to our Aries friends. And happy birthday to those who are at the very end of Pisces.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, we're in between eclipses.
Makwa said any of those holidays are so colonial.
I know. And like I said, you just have to investigate it just a little tiny bit, not very hard. And you're like, excuse me?
Yeah, real quick, you're like, what?
Pardon me?
Oh man, I watched some video yesterday of the history of St. Patrick, and I was like, and I was like, and the more I listened to the guy, I was like, oh, this guy's Christian. And so he's okay with what the guy did. But you know, essentially St. Patrick, if you didn't know, kind of went over to where the Celts were in Ireland and told them their religion was wrong and said, you have to practice our religion. Sort of like the same thing they did in Canada and United States.
Right. It's just kind
with
of,
the indigenous people. It's like a repeat of the same exact thing.
There's the myth of St. Patrick chased the snakes out of Ireland. Well, there were no snakes in Ireland. It's a metaphor for the Celts, the Druids, and the pagans. And so, you know, it's same old story, right? I know better than you do. Oh dear. This is a terrible, proposition. It's unfortunate that so many indigenous cultures have suffered intensely and lost enormous wealth of their own personal culture because of colonialism and aggression and things that now we look back and go, why are we celebrating this? This doesn't make any sense to me at all. If you wanted to celebrate Irish culture, let's just do that. Let's just make it about that.
Yeah, so it's a little disappointing, but I try to make it about the Irish culture. And I had Bright Hawk tell my grandkids a story about leprechauns, which is totally not Christian, but
So Hollis and I, as you know, we run a nonprofit called Let's Dance Activities, and for many years we toured the country. We've done over 650 shows, I think, in 32 states. So at one point we were asked if we'd do a St. Patrick's Day show, and I was like, sure. And I started looking through all my material for a decent Irish folktale that I wanted to tell. And frankly, it's kind of a similar thing that happened to me with other tales where I just couldn't quite find the one that I was interested in telling, because I wasn't interested in telling about drunks. I wasn't interested in telling about trickery. I wasn't interested in telling about Oh my goodness. Just there's so many that I'm like, nope, nope, nope. So Hollis and I, we had read maybe 30 stories. And so at a certain point, it was like, you know what? We're going to make our own. And so it was really fun. And now I'm starting to illustrate that story. Right now, the title is A Modern Irish Folk Tale. That could change. But it's fun to have a quote St. Patrick's Day story. It's not about St. Patrick's Day at all. It's about a leprechaun. It's about the fairies, the little ones. It's about being good to the earth, remembering to say thank you before you harvest anything, take anything. It's about honesty and forgiveness and acts of service. It's got a lot of fun, good stuff in it. Of course, we came up with it together, and so of course it's going to have a lot of good moral values. And at the end, that's what they said they liked. They were like, "I like the lesson." I was like, "What was the lesson?" And they came up with stuff that I was like, "Well, that was one of the lessons." I didn't realize how many layers there are in that cake. So
That's
it's going to
good.
be fun.
I think it's great to make up our own folk tales now.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I think as a storyteller, I think that's part of your gift, actually.
Well, it's great fun. We also have a Hawaiian story we made up of a transgender. The transgender term in Hawaiian is called mahu. So when we were on the Big Island, and again, I've read 50 stories about Pele and Hawaiian folk tales, and there's frequently just like, oh my God, really being rough on each other, shall we say. So we decided to create a story that was about a mahu who has a relationship with Pele. Our goal is always to celebrate all the different cultures and all the different gifts they bring us all, enrich us all. So it's been fun. It's been fun creating stories and tributes and embed a lot of stuff in it. Like we embedded the 5 languages of love in that story, which is great fun.
Right.
Well, anyway, March 17th to the 23rd. That's the conversation this week.
So let's take a minute to have a little meditation. Take a deep breath. And just allow the tension to fall off of you. Just release it with your breath. And as you center in the here and now, come into your body, feel your seat on the bottom, on the chair, you might be sitting. And just consciously relax your neck and your shoulders. Wiggle your toes and let all the tension out. And I want you to imagine yourself walking on a circle chart. It's actually kind of looks like a pie. It's actually a astrology chart. And as you walk along and you look down, you're walking around in a circle like you're on a big, huge record player. And it goes around in circles. And as you look down, you can see these pieces of the pie, distinctly marked with lines. And each one of these pieces of the pie is marked with a zodiac sign. And you notice that there is a line going from Virgo to Pisces, directly across. They're opposites. And as you walk past each one, again and again, you are like the moon traveling around, traveling through all the zodiacs. But each time when you come across Virgo, you're across the sky from the sun. And when you step into Virgo, you can feel that shadow piece, that vulnerable part of you become revealed within you. Then, as you keep walking in this circle, eventually you come round to Pisces. And as you step into that piece of the pie, Pisces lights you up and shows you how to heal that piece. You go around again, and when you step in Virgo, it takes you a little deeper. That part of you that needs to be let go, that part of you that needs to be released. And as you get over into Pisces, you are lifted up by the light, lifted off of the circle, and embraced by the warmth and light of the sun. The sun and the moon holding you, in their lights, helping you to heal, helping you to find your way. And slowly the sun releases you back down to the earth, where your feet come in contact with the ground, and you come back into your body in the here and now. Come back to the present, feeling your feet on the ground, feeling yourself in your seat. I invite you to take a deep breath, open your eyes, and come into the here and now. Welcome. Well done, Bright Hawk. Well done. I love it.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate that so much.
And thank you for your little journey around the zodiac.
Oh, it's just trying to give a visual on those opposites, and because we're in the middle of eclipse season, and understanding the opposites is I think pretty important part of learning astrology. Actually, I would say that I understood the zodiac better when I started. I think it was actually not Michael Beckwith, Michael the astrologer, Michael Barwick. Okay. Michael Barwick is actually an astrologer from Canada. He's actually an interesting astrologer, and he he sort of taught the zodiacs in an oppositional type of way. Like, he made real distinction about the opposites, and I felt that, in my opinion, that was a good way to learn the opposites.
Yeah.
And Virgo tends to be this, it tends to be this thing that's about health and grounded and centered and organization, and can sometimes be a little bit of a perfectionist and judgmental, but not because they're, not because they're just, Virgos are anal, is what a lot of people think.
It's not really true.
That's not really true. That's a generalization. Actually, I find that Capricorns are a little bit more, and even Taurus, of all the earth signs. But yeah, I found that Virgos aren't really all that anal, but they can sometimes be judgy. So then people are like, oh, you're judging me. And so then they make the assumption of that. Just like sort of like Pisces. Pisces are sometimes seen as, sort of too wet or whatever, or self-centered, when I think they actually just have a really intense experience. Like, more intense than others. Do you think that's possible?
I do.
I mean, I'm not a Pisces, so I'm not sure. But
I do, and with every sign, just to be clear, because we always try to help make astrology more accessible is what our goal is. So the first thing you realize when you start getting into astrology is, oh my goodness, there's a lot of language here, and what does all this jargon mean? And most of us can identify our own sun signs, but if you're really going to understand astrology, we talk a lot about the rising sign and the moon, because the moon affects all of us every day. And it's the one that moves through the zodiac the fastest. It's also the easiest, fastest way to learn the zodiac. So we love it when you ask questions. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for being here and making it an interesting conversation. We're going to go through the charts and look at the week, talk about what that looks like for everyone. And then Hollis will do their amazing, I want to call it a magic trick, but it's an astrology forecast for every single sign. So it's a great gift to be able to do that, to just look at stuff and figure it out. And then, of course, we finish with the tarot for the week and how amazing that is, that it always seems to reflect the astrology in one shape or another. So thank you so much. And now we're going to get underway. You want to show that deck?
Yeah, I just wanted to address the questions. Hi, okay, Kathy.
Great.
Kathy's
Hi.
Virgo.
Oh, great. Virgo. Yeah. Virgo rising. So
yeah,
we're all about the Virgo.
As far as opposites go, my late husband was a Virgo and I'm a Pisces.
Uh-huh.
But I really started digging into opposite signs, starting with ours, and I found it stuck with my brain later. Yeah, it does. It helps, totally. Right, Alyssa? Yeah. Hi, Karen and Cheryl.
Oh, hey. That's great. Thanks so much for being here. Lots of Virgo energy.
Yeah.
And of course, we just had a lunar eclipse, and the lunar eclipse was in Virgo. So I'm sure everybody has had a variety of experiences. I'd love to know how that went for you.
How'd the eclipse go for you? But here's Barbara's question. Quick question. If you have an approximate birth time, is that good enough? Actually, it usually is.
Yeah.
Like about 9 a.m. Sure.
Yeah.
sometimes I might adjust it a little bit. Like I might say, well, let's set it for 9:15 or something like that. It will depend on when I look at it, how it sits. Because I'll try to get you in the middle of a sign, or I'll just leave it. It just depends when I put it in. But yes. Cheryl said my moon's doing some natal stuff. Probably. The moon is doing something different every day. Every Pisces I've ever met are too dramatic for me. See what I mean? I don't think Pisces are dramatic. I think that they really do. And Brianna's saying my mom is a Pisces, and boy, we are like oil and water. I totally believe you, Brianna. I sometimes have struggled with some Pisces, and then some Pisces I'm okay with. So it's like I wouldn't assume that every Pisces is like that. It could be because of your dynamic as a mother-daughter, but it could also just be your mom's astrology. You could have something else completely different. I look at families' charts all the time, and like, for instance, I know a family where the mother's Mars is on the child's moon, and that's going to create a really not fun experience for either of them. But I think that that's part of their journey. It doesn't mean that's the wrong child for her. I mean, that's obviously her child, and the universe set you up with that dynamic. What are you to learn from that? And that's the question we need to be asking.
This is where I find, and I hear you talk about it all the time with clients, that astrology can be so revealing when you look at the big picture, and it becomes so obvious. Like, you have a soul contract with that person. You get that, right? And when we look at how it's aspected and what that conversation might be, we can cut to the quick on, all right, what are we supposed to learn here? Because we obviously agreed to do some of these things with these people. So let's figure out what the lesson is. And I'm one for always saying, we don't suffer for nothing. If something is hard, it's because we're supposed to learn something. And the sooner we get to the, what do I need to know? What can I learn here? And the faster we can leave, why me? Why does this always happen? Those are shitty questions. Ask shitty questions, you'll get shitty answers.
Yep.
Ask good questions and it will be revealed. And if you don't know the answer, that's a really good trick. I will know and it will be revealed.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. In fact, things being revealed to Donna here. Welcome, Donna. We're glad you joined us. So here's the thing. We're doing an astrology forecast. That means we're essentially saying what the energies are going to be like this week. And at the end, I will talk about the horoscopes for certain signs. And your sun, what you learn on here is that your sun sign's not the most important. There's actually other parts of your sign that are really important, called your rising and your moon. And if you're interested in that, you can get the beginner's guide at my website there. It's just a couple of bucks. You can use that little code there and get half off. You can get half off anything in my digital shop there. And I encourage you to go get your handbook, because it's real easy. It will help you know where to get your free chart, how to figure out your sun, moon, and rising. And if you just go to that divineandrogen.com/shop-2, it will take you to my little digital shop where Bright Hawk and I, we even have a huge class on there if you decide to take it that far.
Again, it's our way of trying to demystify it, because we find it to be so enormously helpful in our lives. It's really great to gift yourself a reading with Hollis. They're very, very good at being able to look at the big picture and help you understand, oh, here, you want to focus on this, or, help you understand something that's been really hard. It's such a gift. It's such an opportunity to have a map and go, are you kidding me? That's what that's all about. Oh my God.
So much stuff in your life starts to make sense. And like you always say, stop trying to rub out that freckle.
Yeah.
Right.
Your spots are your spots, and we all have spots, or at least I have a lot of freckles. So I'm assuming everyone has some.
Right.
That Irish thing again, right? So All right.
So Makwa has a Virgo child.
Wild child.
It's probably actually their rising sign making them more wild.
Oh,
Virgo's
boy.
not particularly wild.
Not really.
I'm out at work, but we'll be in and out. So glad I caught you. Well, I'm glad you can listen in, Brianna.
That's great.
Karen is cleansing. My
Oh,
son-in-law's
nice.
a Pisces. He's very intense. Yeah, I think it's just a Pisces thing. I think they experience life more intensely.
So one of the things I was going to say, because I often call Pisces the ocean of emotion. The other thing that Pisces, my experience of Pisces that they struggle with is boundaries, where their emotional field ends and someone else's emotional field begins. They're so porous that they feel everyone in the room. And so it can be really hard. And for those of us who are Virgos on the other side of the on the other side of the axis, Virgos are very good at boundaries. They're very good at structure. They're very good at details and projects and plans and outlines and following through and being analytical. These are opposite traits of a Pisces. Their ability to be analytical is on a completely different wavelength than a Virgo. Like opposite for a reason. They're not, when you have oppositions, this is part of what you look for is like, wow, this person is really grounded over here because of course they're earth. And this person is the ocean of emotion because of course they're water. And it's like, how are these two going to work? How are they going to talk? How are they going to communicate? Because their vibration, their way of coming at things is opposite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the interesting thing about that, though, is that opposites often attract.
Isn't that the truth? And my mother was a Pisces, so I find this, fascinating and challenging, and whoo!
Yeah, and Cheryl said it's like a roadmap. Exactly. It's
100%.
Like your map to your life.
You got it. Yep.
Yeah, Brianna, you both can do. I've done parent, child, or siblings. Do charts with me all the time. It's very popular.
And it's fascinating because once again, when you do two charts at the same time, it's called synastry. And it helps us see where there are compatibilities and challenges.
Where they get along.
And where you can see really clearly, you guys made an agreement before you even got here. This is where it is. What's the relationship with the South Node usually? These things are very revealing. And instead of fighting it, instead of resisting or struggling, that way we can all flail at times, astrology helps you go, oh, that's what's going on? Oh, man, I better get it together. So...
All right. And Alyssa said, and this is interesting, Brighthawk, because I think you know about the deacons. Kind of a running joke about Pisces is, are they a February Pisces or a March Pisces? Yeah. Because what you get can vary greatly, since still within the overall description, but still different. I would agree, Alyssa. But that's actually called deacons. There is some truth to that.
And that's true actually of almost every sign in the zodiac. So what happens is, of course, there's 12 signs and each one is 30 degrees, 360, right? Well, then we get down to there's 10 degree in each zodiac, there's 30 degrees. And so we can break it up into 3 slivers of 10 degrees. And those are each called deacons. And each of them has a different ruler. So if you're not in the first deacon, which is what every sun sign zodiac reports on, you're never going to relate with your sun sign. If you're in the second or third deacon, you're like, yeah, astrology's not for me. I've heard those things about my sun sign and they don't make any sense. It's because there's a lot to be said about getting down into, are you at the beginning of the sign? Are you at the middle of the sign? Are you at the end of the sign? And there's tons of information. You can look this up for free on Google. And it's a fascinating way to go just that much deeper on specificity. Great question.
Yeah, it's a really great comment.
Or comment, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Really, you really nailed it.
Yeah, and Makwa said both me and my Virgo child had our charts read. It switched us up so quick. Once we realized our destiny, we got down to it. Awesome. We're meant to heal together, even though we bump heads. Yeah, that's great. And often that's the story, Makwa. Like, there's a reason we're bumping heads with somebody. It just means that we have to pull back, reestablish, and go again. But, you know, sometimes the universe puts us together so that our souls can heal, because we have to heal each other.
Yeah, boy, that's the truth.
Kathy was actually, Bright Hawk, Kathy was in one of our astrology courses, I think.
Thank you for taking it.
2 years ago or something like that, when we were doing it live.
Yeah.
So Kathy, thanks for saying that, Kathy. I love to teach. It's a Virgo thing.
Yeah, right?
So
look at my signs.
Okay, so Barbara said, do I need to look at my signs? I would say yeah, because you're Libra, Scorpio cusp, and I would say yes, still look at them. I still look at my Virgo. But your sun, those are your sun signs. Okay, so Libra, Scorpio cusp is where your sun is. It's in between the two of those. And then your moon is your emotions, and your rising is kind of the real you. So the sun is what people see on the outside when they just meet you at the store, when you meet your doctor, when somebody at work that doesn't really know you that well, they're going to meet your sun sign. But once they get to know you a little bit deeper, they're going to get to know your rising sign. And that's the difference between the sun and the rising. And the moon is all about emotions and how you interact with people emotionally.
Right.
Chelsea said, I'm hoping to get some positive energy this week. The last few have been challenging. Yeah, it sounds like the eclipse has got you, huh, Chelsea?
Yeah. The last week I have to agree, there were some days that was just like, oh, Mercury! Because it's usually as it's changing, I find, is when it just, you think you're going to do something that's going to take 15 minutes, and the next thing you know, it goes sideways, and now 45 minutes later, you're still working on this thing that was supposed to take 15 minutes. You know, it's like, that's Virgo. I mean, sorry, Mercury retrograde.
Well, Mercury rules Virgo, but yeah.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
All
so
right.
That's the other reason why.
Yes, Barbara, I would say Pisces rising are intense. So you may, if the person has a different sun sign, assume it's not Pisces. Let's just say it's something else. Could even be Virgo. If they were born during an eclipse, that's what's going to happen. Yeah. Their sun and their moon are going to be opposite in the sky. Their sun might be on their descendant, not just the moon. And the moon could be on their rising or something. But if they're a rising sign, Pisces, they're probably going to be pretty emotionally intense. But there are several intense signs. Pisces, the water signs tend to be intense. The least of intensity of them all would be Cancer. I'd say then Pisces and Scorpio are intense differently. So Pisces is like trying to hold a fish out of water intense, and a Scorpio intensity is more like being in the desert and feeling really intense and kind of
totally different.
like secretive, mysterious, and intense all at the same time. That's I'm a Scorpio rising. Okay.
The other thing I would say about Pisces and what Pisces,
but that's water sign.
The Pisces that I see that do well lean into their spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge with Pisces is that they can be the victim and the drama and this is everything. They always find something to complain about and blah, blah, blah. You know, I've seen it. I'm related to these people. So it's really good when a Pisces can lean into their spirituality, when their awareness of oneness, when their intuitive ability is tapped in a good way as a healer. Wow, they're amazing. They really have an ability to read people, understand how they're feeling, very good at being peacemakers because they can read what's going on really well and help find the middle path. That's an incredible gift. So just want to make sure we round it out because every sign has its challenge and has its gift. So I one of the things I think astrology is here to help us understand is this is what you're going to find as your challenge. Here's the antidote. Here's the gift.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the way you can be of service.
Sometimes the opposite sign can
and
help you.
Awesome. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So Cheryl said I'm a Virgo mom, Virgo husband, and first lots of Virgo energy in there.
So you guys felt that eclipse, I'll tell ya.
Barbara's like, my boyfriend is a Pisces rising and he's a lot. Oh no, I'm sorry to laugh, but it's just funny to me the way you said it. Okay. Cute. Yeah, well, Makwa, definitely some agreements we make before we come here. Cheryl said Hollis's readings I utilize a few times a year. No problem, Cheryl. You're welcome.
That's great. It's so valuable.
I didn't know that there was a name for it. That's pretty interesting. I'll have to go down that rabbit hole next. Alyssa, I actually have a book that does relationships based on the deacon. I'll have to look up that book.
Declination.
Based on the declination. It's that astrology relationships book.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Where it says you and I are pretty much peas in a pod type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is correct.
Which is correct.
I feel like I'm crazy and have no box. When I feel like I have to be in a box, I'm going to rebel. February 1st, Aquarius. My son is February 16th. We are peas in a pod. My mom is March 6th, Pisces, and is all in the boxes and very overly emotional. Always has hurt feelings because I'm too blunt. Yeah, that's because Aries is air and it's a lot of talking and thinking and less feeling. And Pisces is a lot of feeling and not a lot of thinking and processing. So, yeah. So you also probably have some other alignments that make it particularly intense for you. I guess it has something to do with the moon.
We had a very, it wasn't meant unkind, but we used to call my mom Jabberjaws because sometimes she would just become, she could just talk and talk and talk and talk.
But where's her Mercury?
Yeah, right? That's really,
yeah. So Mako said, I'm traveling halfway across the country tomorrow. My nephew-in-law is having surgery. Whoa. I hope this week has good things. Well, Mako,
we'll look at tomorrow's chart. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take a look.
I think tomorrow is a grand trine. So
been cussing Mercury lately. Me too, Alyssa. I always am cussing at Mercury.
Well, sometimes you just
yeah, exactly, Barbara. See, so when a Pisces denies their spirituality, not religion, spirituality, but if they deny their spirituality, they tend to kind of be overly emotional, I think. And they're harder to take, I find. But I'm a Virgo and I'm opposite of them.
What about Gemini? Okay, so Gemini is square to Virgo. So when you look at the wheel, so for me, Gemini is, well, if you were looking at a clock, it would be 9 o'clock. But of course, we're looking at an astrology chart. So it's what's at 12 and 1, right? The 12th house and the first house, right? So that for me is Virgo. Gemini is right at the top of the sky for me. So it's a square. So the people who are feeling this Mercury retrograde, the eclipse, what's going on this month most intensely are the people we've been talking about, the Virgos, the Pisces, the Geminis. We haven't talked about the Sagittarius, but those are the quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Those are squares. Those are opposite.
So they're going to be the most challenged.
Those folks are going to feel all of this, what we've been talking about, the most.
Right. Yep. All right. So Donna said, I'm a Gemini. Okay, Donna, don't worry. We'll do horoscopes at the end, and you can listen to this week's coming energy. Yeah, Alyssa, I'll let you know what that book is. Oh my gosh, you guys, look, there's a scammer. It's okay. I'm just gonna block them.
Okay.
And me and my son Aquarius, my daughter Virgo, my husband Gemini. Okay. So we got a nice mixture. So we'll be doing some horoscopes at the end. So make sure you listen in for the sun, moon, and rising. Now, what we're going to talk about now is for sort of for everyone. This is the overall energy, what you might see in our culture, and it's the overall sort of feel for the week. Okay. And now the sun is in Pisces. For now, not very much longer. And of course, there's a lot of energy going on in Pisces right now that's moving around. And with the North Node in there, that makes me feel like there's a lot of energy in the Pisces and Aries area, which is actually, we were just listening last night about the Aries Ingress, which is 0 degrees Aries. And there's a whole bunch of planets kind of, the North Node just went across there because it always goes backwards. But then, Neptune, the sun, and Saturn, and Venus and Mars, everything's headed for 0 degrees Aries. And I don't know exactly how to explain that, except there's lots of things that are going to take off. Lots of things that are going to go forward. Some things we might like and some things we might not. It probably depends on your perspective.
Yeah. I mean, this is... I hate to use this word because it feels so overused when it's not supposed to be. Unprecedented times.
Oh my God, that's all we learned.
2025 has some things that are changing that are so like, whoa, I wonder what this is really going to look like after we're done.
Right.
So
understand. Not just the United States, it's the whole world.
So yeah, so understand that 0 Aries is like the astrology new year. 0 Aries is what we call a world point. It's cardinal energy, and everyone can testify this week to things are intense in the world right now, are they not? And so we're all experiencing it. Everybody's literally used that word more times than I can count on. We're living in unprecedented times, and I hate to make it a cliche, but it wouldn't be a cliche if it wasn't true, right? So this week, when the sun moves from Pisces to Aries, joins that conjunction with Mercury and Venus, it's a lot of energy there. That point is just, and then of course the nodes are sort of holding that vibe.
And I think, I was thinking about last week or Thursday's eclipse. We are in what we call eclipse season. So that means in between lunar and a solar eclipse, these next 2 weeks, we're going to be trying to figure out how to resolve this problem. Okay. And so what came up for you last week? What showed up? And I know for me, some stuff showed up with organization of people, because that's where Virgo is for me. It's in my 11th house, which usually, and my sun is there. So it tends to be how I lead and the groups that I'm leading, because the 11th house in your chart usually rules things like people that have power over you, or groups of friends and people that you're surrounded by, people you work with. Okay. And so for me, my sun is there. So it tends to be the leader in which I am. And then it also had to do with the 5th house for me, which is children. So I'm like, oh, of course, my grandchild's going to come into play here. And, we're trying to figure things out and adjust things for those children. And so just saying that, what come up for you? What problems presented themselves? What kinds of things are you trying to resolve? What are you seeing happening in your world? What did Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde have also been happening? Maybe it's something to do with relationships. Maybe it has something to do with an Aries, for me, it's my Aries grandchild. Interestingly. But it could have something to do with something else. maybe at work or wherever Aries rules in your chart, because it's probably going to have to do with like Mercury, Venus, and wherever the Virgo, Pisces, opposition are, that the axis. So that axis between Virgo and Pisces, you want to look at that, because when the sun, or sorry, when the moon gets around over there to Pisces, that's going to be the solar eclipse, and that's like next week. So it's like March 29th, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like this week, the main thing is going to be, how am I resolving that? How am I dealing with that? And so with Mercury retrograde, you're going to be reviewing something. You're going to be editing something. You're going to be thinking things through. I know I've been thinking a lot about relationships with my grandchildren and my son and his family and other people around him that I'm connected to, and my spouse and my other connections. So if you're not thinking about relationships, then I want to just say, hey, you probably should be thinking about relationships. Okay, because Venus is retrograde. Are you reviewing them? How do they look? How do you handle them? How do you maintain them? How do you make them good? How do you, right? Okay, so something, whatever needs to change is pulling on you right now. And it has a lot to do with communication, relationships, unhealthy patterns, and healthy patterns, and self-love. How are we getting to self-love? How are we getting there? Because right now the moon is taking us on the trip halfway around the zodiac these next 2 weeks between now and the solar eclipse, to help us figure out, how do we get to the light? How do we heal? And that's exactly what the solar eclipse season is.
Yeah. And with those two retrogrades, the Venus and Mercury retrograde, it just makes it that much more intense. So of course, Venus rules
Taurus and Libra.
So Venus retrograde is going to affect Taurus and Libra intensely.
And then Mercury's retrograde, and of course that's going to affect
Virgo and Gemini.
And anything else that's in a square to that.
Right.
So that could include Sagittarius and Pisces. Pisces is already intensified because of all the energy that's there. Plus the North Node entered there this year. Man, so I would say that most people, plus Cancers, are just kind of going, because they just got done with a huge Mars transit. And, Leos are also, I think everyone on the chart is, a lot of people are struggling more than you may know.
Yeah.
So check in with your friends. This is eclipse season. They just need to understand that whatever they've awoken to last week, whatever problem came up, to keep ruminating on it, keep thinking about it, keep editing it, keep reviewing it. You don't have to make any decisions yet. Wait for 2 more weeks until the sun and the moon meet in Pisces. And when they do, it will make way more sense. So you are being led somewhere, though. That's what I wanted to say, really.
So with the moon in Scorpio, what we know is when the moon is in Scorpio, Scorpio's ruled by Mars and Pluto. So it's going to answer to Mars and Pluto, and it's in a square to Pluto. So it might not be a terribly comfortable conversation. It might be requiring some, what are you really feeling? What do you really, what do you really think in a situation? Scorpio is a very aware of the hidden motivations, the secrets, the shadow, what's the underbelly, because Pluto rules all things underground, right? So when the moon squares Pluto, sometimes we have earthquakes. We saw that a couple of weeks ago. So the moon in Scorpio squaring Pluto
on Monday.
That's today. This chart is actually right this moment, 5:55 in Colorado time. So now let me just tell you what. There was a void moon this morning. There was a very long void moon that started last night and it finished this morning. So if you kind of had a chill, quiet morning, that's great. You might not have felt like you had a lot of energy to get up and go. That's what happens during a void moon. A void moon is when the moon has the least amount of energy. It's transitioning from one sign to the next. And as we know, that's a big deal. When you move out of, let's see, what was right before Scorpio, Libra into Scorpio. Wow, those are two very different energies. So yeah, put in the comments if anything happened this morning. You noticed the void moon. Most of the void moons, they happen about every 2.5 days. Most of them this week are going to be pretty darn short.
I think Makwa said that she's traveling tomorrow. So Makwa,
Okay,
it's actually really great because
there's a grand trine.
Yeah, there's a grand trine in water, which would mean that you might have some emotional processing. You know, sometimes writing can really help you emotionally process things. And I think that that's actually a really blessed thing. Like, I think that having some emotional healing tomorrow with the moon and Mars and the sun and the North Node and stuff and Saturn, all that stuff in Pisces, all of them talking to each other. I actually think that that would be really healing for you, especially with Pisces energy. And everything's going direct. That's part of that trine. The biggest challenge is that Mars will be in a square to Chiron, but I think that it might just mean that you have some healing to do. A square is not impossible. It just means it might take you a little bit of work. Maybe there's some emotional processing that you got to do tomorrow. So don't be surprised if you do a lot of emotional processing tomorrow. And this goes for anyone, not just for Makwa who's traveling, but for anyone that comes to an emotional conclusion or emotional awareness tomorrow. That's really, really great. That's really, really good. Really help you heal things, I think.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, and go with our love and blessings, and may you be delightfully surprised by how well everything works out.
Yeah, and it looks like Wednesday is also a pretty beautiful day as well.
Yeah, so on Wednesday we end up with the moon in a minor grand trine. So what is a minor grand trine? A minor grand trine is trines with two sextiles, and that Pluto sextile to the crowd in Aries. Pluto's at 3 degrees, and now we have Venus at 4 degrees Aries. So that sextile is going to, Pluto, it's not going to move very quickly. So that's going to carry on through the week. The other thing that's happening is the trine between the moon and the sun. So trines, grand trines, minor grand trines are blessings. It's good flowing energy. It's wow, you don't even know how blessed you are. Things just fell into place, and the best you can do is remember to say thank you.
Yeah, and with this fire and air that being involved in this minor trine, I would say that has a lot to do with taking action, setting your intentions, and taking action on Wednesday. So Tuesday, you might be feeling about it. You might do some emotional processing that leads to, oh, this is probably what I should do, and then taking that action for better change on Wednesday. And this is just general for everyone, okay? And then also on Thursday, it feels like the biggest thing there is that the moon is opposite Jupiter.
At what time? At Sag Gemini axis. We've been also talking about the Sag Gemini axis is fire and air. So Jupiter in Gemini. Jupiter is all about making everything bigger. What do you really want? Let's go for it. Yeah, man. So Jupiter in Gemini, careful about excess. Jupiter in Gemini could be a party animal and not know when to stop.
Well, with the moon and Sag, that's also.
And that access, that's like the access of like the party animal. Jupiter, Gemini.
That's what they have in common.
Moon is like, whee!
Yeah. So I would just be aware also of justice, of doing the right thing, of following through, even if it's not in service to you. doing the right thing, I think that would also be really important with the moon, Jupiter opposite each other. Okay.
Mhm. So, and if it's not obvious, the other thing that's happening there is that the moon, the moon being in Sag, is in conversation with its ruler. Sag is ruled by Jupiter. So Jupiter hanging out, Gemini, Jupiter, man, Jupiter in Gemini means that Jupiter is in its farthest from home. So it's not its strongest. It's its strongest when it's in Sagittarius. So, yeah.
So that makes me think about justice. It makes
Yeah.
me think about doing the right thing. Because when Jupiter is in Gemini, it's considered to be in its detriment, which usually means that things are maybe not as honest as they could be. So you want to watch out for that. Okay. And it could mean not you, but others. Okay. Now the sun is also in Aries, so someone might take a sudden action without thinking about it that maybe is out of integrity. Okay, so be aware of that. You might want to follow up on that and just be aware of that on Thursday. So now we're on Friday, and the biggest thing I think on Friday, well, is that T square. That T square with the South Node and Neptune with the moon. I'm really sure that that's going to have some emotional effects on people. I mean, with all the protests and everything else going on, we're moving in a direction of having protests pretty much every day in our country. And if that doesn't occur to be a problem to you, it should set off some flags for you. We're pretty much.
Isn't Friday the AOC and Bernie thing?
Okay. Yeah. So then the moon's in a square to Neptune, which is especially since we're in eclipse season, this could reveal some things that maybe have been said or done in the past that aren't true. Some reveals of things, especially as we approach that 0 degrees and the sun is at 1 degree Aries, and the moon is Neptune is just 2 degrees away from it. That's starting to make me think that belief systems or like fake news, propaganda, those kinds of things are probably going to get busted the end of this week. So don't be surprised to hear another lie from our government or another lie about something else. Just don't be surprised if you hear that. Don't be surprised if things are busted open or if things are revealed. The truth, because we've been under a veil of delusion for I think 2 years now, or 3 years or something like that. But most of the time that Neptune has been in Pisces, we've been under an illusion, and it's just gotten more and more intense as Neptune moves to the end of Pisces.
Yeah.
And you can see there, Neptune kind of looks like that 3-pronged fork, and it's like blue-green, and it's at 29 degrees in a blue sign. In the 7th house there on the right, you can see that it's at 29 degrees. It only has 2 more degrees go, and it will be at that world point that we talked about earlier, which is really on a grand.
Okay.
Because it does that. Doesn't always work very well. So just give us just a second. Hopefully it will just stay connected. Sometimes it does. And hopefully we're just still connected. Looks like we are. Okay. So the thing is that Neptune, the thing about Neptune is that it's going to go to Aries. And when it does next week, I think it might actually happen this weekend or next week probably. I think it actually happens close to the eclipse. we're going to have an awareness.
I think it's April.
Okay. And when that happens,
Neptune moves incredibly slowly.
Not quite as slow as Pluto, but slow.
Incredibly slowly.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's been a lot of years and now it's going to change, but it's not going to change for probably 2 more weeks. It's got 20 seconds left and it moves like 2 seconds a day. I mean, it's quite slow.
It's approaching there and I still feel like the energy is getting there.
And
so it's going to be like layers.
There it is. Now
it's going to be like, it's going to be like layers peeling back as we get through eclipse season. You're going to start seeing layers like someone's peeling layers back on an onion. Okay. Especially in relationship to leadership, countries, patriotism, the president, politics.
Yeah.
All of that.
So
like an onion.
So on Saturday, there's the headline on Saturday is the conjunction of Venus and Mercury. Right there at 2 degrees Aries. And when Venus and Mercury, they meet every year. And this conjunction is, one of those, it's considered that, Mercury is all about communication. Venus is all about love and relationships and values and possessions. And so there's this lovely merging of Venus and Mercury. And of course, it's happening right there at 2 degrees Aries. So the fire signs are all going to feel it. And the fire signs, Aries, Sag, and Leo.
Yeah. And I think those two coming conjunct together is going to be a little bit on the intense side as far as relationship. Retrograde. Yeah, they're both retrograde. Relationships, communication.
Yeah.
Are you communicating with these people that you're in relationship with? What are the communication issues? And there could be some conflict.
Yeah, I worry a little bit about Aries because Aries is can be aggressive. It can be, Aries, Mars, god of war, it can be intense. It can be, so what would be the antidote? The antidote would be doing things in a positive, grateful, grounding, ground
with the moon in Capricorn.
Be gentle, be mindful, and, Aries, if you need to go on a long walk or a hike or move your body,
ground, get outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the best thing you could do is start to enjoy this beautiful spring weather. Hopefully,
Saturday, get outside is what I would suggest, because there could be a little bit of conflict, particularly around communication and certain relationships that you've been dealing with. And now on Sunday, is the Sunday is more of, I would say, Venus kind of moves away from Mercury, moves closer to the sun, and that could be a very bright energy. But I feel like that T-square there, that's pretty intense with Chiron. So Sunday, there could be some healing or resolution to what's been going on, or at least you might see the way, especially if you've been in conflict Friday, Saturday.
I am cracking up looking at that Capricorn moon. If you want to understand the Ptolemaic aspects, what's known as the Ptolemaic aspects, the moon has every one of them. The Ptolemaic aspects are oppositions. We've been talking a lot about oppositions. Sextiles, which are blessings. You have to work a little bit more than you do with the trine, but it's a blessed energy. Then we have the trine of Uranus, and you have a T-square with Chiron. And of course, squares are a little more challenging. They require some action generally, or decision making. So there you have it all right there on that moon. It's very funny to me.
I just feel like with that moon there, if you tap into the earth energy, you'll be tapping into that grand trine instead of the opposition energy of conflict with Mars opposite the moon.
Oh, you do have a faint grand trine, 24, 27, 21.
It's very faint, okay. But if you make, I think if you made an effort to go outside on Sunday or to be outside, if you find yourself arguing with someone, ask them to go for a walk.
Yeah.
with you.
Better to do that than
Mm-hmm.
to be in too small of a space and be too committed to an opinion that you just need to let go of.
Get out in the earth. It will help you.
Yeah.
I think that's like one of the best ways to deal with an argument anyway. But on this weekend anyway, if you're in conflict, go outside.
Yeah.
Be outside as to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's really the energy we want to be. Okay, so let's see here. So is it normal that family, wait a minute, I have to go back. Oh man.
Thanks for interacting. I love all these questions.
Yeah, so Brianna said, "Oh my God, I love this so much. I need to message you when I'm off work. I love astrology and want to learn more." Well, I would love to look into that, Brianna. I love doing families charts. It's always fascinating to me how families are connected. I was feeling it Saturday. Sag here, emotions were on a 10.
I feel you.
Yeah, Bianca. But there's probably other parts of your chart. There could be like your moon could be in Pisces or something like that. And if that happens, you're going to feel it. Aries, Pisces, Virgo.
Yeah.
Yep. And Barbara said, I just found out his approximate birth time and it's eye-opening.
Oh, good.
I see, Barbara.
The details, boy. Devil's in the details.
And you're kind of like, whoa, man, you can't make this stuff up.
That's really the truth.
Just, Alyssa said, just being in a nodal return currently make all of this even. Yes, Alyssa, 100%. If you're in a nodal return, if the nodes are in the Pisces, oh my God, it's so intense. But it does happen, like, I think it's like every 12 or 13 years or something like that, approximately. The nodes do come around on a regular basis, and you usually have an eclipse. At least one set of eclipses, if not 2 or 3. And it usually takes a couple of years to go through those changes that were planned for you. So, and it's best to just go with it. Try not to fight it too much, okay? Zach said, does Cancer and Pisces conflict? I feel this month the OCD was exasperated. I'm Cancer. I would say that I wouldn't say that they necessarily conflict, but what I would say is that Mars is in Cancer right now. So if you have a Cancer placement, easily Mars could be anywhere in Cancer for you. We'd have to look closer at your chart. And then the Pisces are also having a nodal return. Saturn is also there, and Neptune's on its way out, but that intensifies the energy. When a planet is moving its way out, it intensifies before it leaves, especially a bigger planet like Neptune. And so then what ends up happening is that like Cancer and Pisces could be in conflict, but mostly just because those two people are going through intense changes right now of their own accord, of different types of intense changes. Okay. And I'd have to look closer at your chart, but that's what I can surmise just by knowing that. And Barbara said, I'm a Libra, Scorpio cusp, boyfriend's Aquarius, sun, Capricorn daughter, Cancer daughter, Capricorn, Aquarius cusp. Okay. Oh, your son. Okay, I'm not sure. But that's cool. Okay. I had tons of insights regarding my chart. That's great, Makwa. That's so good.
Oh, that's so good.
Brianna said this has been the best yet weirdest year of my life. Sounds like you might have something in Pisces. Not how I wanted it to go, but an opportunity had opened for me out of nowhere this year and has been a huge blessing. That's beautiful, Brianna. That's great. Probably from Mars, huh? Family for me after butting heads with my Virgo husband Saturday morning. Oh, that's probably because Mercury's in retrograde. The opportunity to have a real honest conversation with my dad about our strained relationship. Whoa, wow. Big deal. It did not go well at all. He tried to gaslight the hell out of me. Man. And Dad's a Gemini. Okay. Yeah, that happens sometimes. He'd have to embrace
Good for you
healing.
For being brave.
Is it normal that I have the best job I've ever had, but I still can't stop my deep desire to want to move? I've been trying to move from Washington to North Carolina or Virginia.
Is it normal?
I don't know if it's normal, but there might be something calling you there. Brianna, what we should do is we should look at your there's a way to like change the location of your chart to see if you would be better off in the other location. Mako's like, woohoo, I need to process the diagnosis. Okay, good. And then you'll know what to do by the time you get there. So that'll be good. You might have some challenges over the weekend, but I think you'll be able to work with them. No, Brianna's supporting you, Makwa. Yeah. Okay. I started off having so much motivation and very energetic. Then boom, out of nowhere, it feels like I'm a vat of cement and no motivation to move either. So definitely void moon. I did get some rest though. That's good, Alyssa. That's really what the void moon is about. It's about rest. So, that's what it should be. Hey Carrie. Thanks, Makwa. We appreciate that you guys tune in. Bianca, if you need clarity, we could look closer at your chart. And Barbara said, are Aries and Pisces rising opposites? No, Virgo and Pisces is. Aries and Pisces are right next to each other, but so they often don't always get each other.
Communication is really strained about anything important always, and conflict is intense. Because Aries, it's like what we were talking about before. Aries is cardinal fire. Action is their energy and language. Pisces, their language is emotion. Their energy is water. These two get together and it's steam. It's not easy for these two to find a bridge to talk.
Yeah, because they're also very close to each other. So sometimes they may struggle to understand each other, especially because
they really come at things differently.
Yeah, it's just a different energy. So
you usually have to work to make
and then it doesn't help, Barbara, that right now Mercury is retrograde, making communication hard. Venus is retrograde, straining relationships. And the North Node is in Pisces right now, really intensifying things. And both Mercury and Venus are in Aries. So right now, the energy for both Aries and Pisces is very intense. And then you put those two people together. It's not just about that. It's about your whole chart. It's not just one thing, but it's the whole chart. And then plus what's happening in the sky right now. So Barbara said, I felt my anxiety was through the roof because of PMS, but maybe the planets made it worse. Probably.
Saturday was hard for me too. I'm just going to say, I was trying to just do my work and get stuff done. And it was like,
yeah,
Mercury, are you kidding me?
I could feel it. Yeah, I felt like I was getting drugged through the mud.
Yeah.
All right. So, and then
what about Leo
Ashley
and Aries? I feel like we have been completely off our compatibility, should I say? And I've been bonking heads. I guess this could explain some of it. Yeah. Because again, Leo and Aries are both fire. And so their language is going to be fiery. And it's,
yeah. And the other thing is
fire
actually
meets fire and you end up with ashes.
There's probably other parts to the chart. Like, I don't know what your risings are or what your moons are. But and Leo is going through some pretty intense changes right now, or has gone through some intense changes. And now Aries is sort of working up. So while Leo comes down a little bit out of the change transition, Aries is working up to more intensity this year. Aries will be very intense this year. Brianna, if it's just a reading for you, that would just be a natal chart with transits. If you decide you want me to do synastry with another person, then it's actually called synastry. You'll see it. Okay. Brianna, you can also, every year people get a natal report. Some people come like on their birthday or around New Year's or around now, whenever you want. And you can come once a year or anytime you're having a problem, come to an astrologer. And most good astrologers can be like, oh, this is the problem and this is how to solve it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So Alyssa said Saturday really messed with me too. Yeah, me too.
And Ashley saying, yep.
Yeah. Yeah, Ashley, you're probably going to be going through a lot this year, so just hang in there.
The eclipse coming up is also in Aries, so yeah. It's happy birthday.
The eclipse, well, and the other thing about Aries is that Neptune will be entering there, Saturn will be entering there, and that's going to intensify the energy this year. So I'm just going to say, Ashley, for 2025, it's a pretty intense year. So you should definitely have your chart read. Okay. Yeah, no problem, Barbara. No problem. We love answering questions.
Well, good news is all how you look at it, isn't it? So I'm just going to be honest with you. The solar eclipse on the 29th, it's definitely going to stir things for especially the same places that we've been talking about. It's going to take place in Aries. Virgo is opposite. Aries, the nodes in terms of Virgo and Pisces, the sun in Aries and all that energy is going to continue. And then we have these major things like Neptune leaving Pisces after so much time. And then later in the summer, Jupiter's going to leave Gemini after a year or more, 2 years. I think it's a year.
I think it's just actually been there like a year and a half.
Yeah. So there's some really big things in 2025 that everybody's pointing to. And all of us are like, ooh, wow, let's watch this. Holy moly. So we definitely are doing the best we can to sort of help you navigate it. And now why don't we get into the zodiac?
I just want to answer this last question. So how does that affect people whose Venus is in Aries, especially with Venus being in retrograde? Yeah, if you have other planets there, it's going to intensify it that much more.
Yeah.
Is your Venus retrograde? It might actually bring things to fruition quicker. But if your Venus is not retrograde and Venus is currently retrograde, you'll find some healing eventually when it's done. By April, you'll start feeling some healing. But the thing about Aries right now is that Aries is going to receive other energies that could be quite intense. Yeah, Brianna said, maybe I'll do mine and my husband's together to see both our charts. I need to really know what's going on with this moving thing. It's been 2 dragging years of our house not selling. Oh, that's hard, Brianna. Yeah.
That's a good reason to get an astrology reading.
Hannah said 2025 has really been so hard for me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Hannah. Yeah, that's hard. Yeah. And you know what,
Pisces,
Donna? What I want to say, Donna, is that I know that it seems like a lot, but I want to say that everybody here that's talking right now, Makwa, Brianna, and Alyssa and Barbara, everybody that's chatting, they all were where you were just a month or so ago. So what I would recommend is that you get this little beginner's guide. It's only a few bucks. And that'll help you. That'll help you get on board. And then just keep coming back Monday after Monday. And then eventually you will learn this stuff and you will get a go of it. And it will help you with the week. So now I'm going to do the horoscopes, which is specific for certain signs. And so so that's really going to be specific about what area of your life you're going to feel things. Oh, Hannah, I'm just going to let your daughter know that 2025 is going to be an intense year and ongoing from 2025 for a couple of years. It's going to be intense. Chelsea said, my chart says my true node is in Aries. So you got a lot coming up. But you've already gone through some major changes, Chelsea, because the nodes just came out of Aries and Libra. So you'll be doing pretty good. All right, Hannah, I'm sorry that you lost your job. I really believe in you. I'm sure that someone could use some great sign language interpretation for you. It just seems so bittersweet with the fact that the Department of Education is falling apart. Well, there's probably a bigger meaning, Hannah, because Aries, that whole thing of happening, like Saturn rules the system. Neptune has a lot to do with like the fake news and the BS that we're seeing, the stuff that's covered up things, and all that kind of thing, Hannah. That like that's all going to be covered as these big, huge planets move into Aries. Okay, that's all that stuff is gonna. Things are gonna crumble. Things are gonna fall apart, but also some really special leaders are gonna step up, and we're really gonna see some changes in our world. Okay. Bianca.
It'll be very interesting when
Bianca said the
Saturn
only good
moves
thing
from-
about Mondays. Hey, we get you through. We get your week started on a good
We
note,
try,
right?
man. We try. We're
Yeah.
really trying.
See, there you go, Donna.
That's
Barbara
great.
said, "Keep coming every week, and you'll learn more. You'll learn more and more." That's right. Okay. And now, let me set this up. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna do horoscopes, for this weekend, because I feel like when Venus, what the heck did I do? When Venus and Mercury come together on Saturday, that will be I think Saturday will be the big day, because that's probably when you'll feel the most intensity, Friday, Saturday. And we'll do this for your sun, moon, and rising. Oops. Now I just have to set it up here. All right. So now,
So of course we begin with Aries because Aries begins the zodiac. Boy, do we have a lot of energy in Aries.
right? Yeah.
Ooh la la.
Yeah. So, okay.
And happy
so-
birthday to the Aries as we switch from Pisces to Aries.
Oops, wrong way. All right. So what we're going to do is I just have to adjust my chart here, and I'll do a horoscope for each sign. Listen for your sun, moon, and rising. If you don't have a sun, moon, and rising, if you don't know what they are yet, just get the beginner's guide here. There's a link for it, divineandrogen.com/shop-2. It's just a few bucks. Get the beginner's guide. It'll tell you how to get your chart, and
I want to
how to read it, or at least get started reading it.
I want to recommend that those of you who are cuspy, where your sign is at the very end of a sign, and I think it was Barbara. I'm not sure if it was Barbara or Bianca that said their family charts. There was a number of cuspy ones. Listen to the following. Listen to both of them because. At the end of Aquarius, but at the very beginning of Pisces or whatever it was, I'm not quite sure if it was Capricorn, Aquarius, or Aquarius, Pisces, cusp. Listen for both signs because it'll make a lot more sense over time as you look at the long view.
Hannah, if you're at the end of the Pisces sign, you might want to listen to Aries as well.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now here's the sign here. Or if you're at the end, sorry, Taurus. Hannah, you might be a little bit more Taurus than you ever knew.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably on the cusp of Pisces and Aries and
Aries and Taurus.
Aries and Taurus. Is that what she said? No.
Taurus and
I'm at the end of the Pisces sign.
Oh.
Okay, so I was right.
Leading
Aries.
up to Aries, yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna wow, I just did that to myself. Okay, so this is for March 20. This is like this weekend, Friday, Saturday. And this is for Aries, sun, moon, and rising. You're gonna feel Aries, you got a lot going on this year. And right now, Spirit wants to prepare you. The universe is preparing you for what's coming. So pay attention, Aries. Pay attention to how you're feeling inside. Pay attention to who you are. What's your identity? And what are you feeling in your heart And what does that have to do with the changes that you have to be making and the transformation and action that you need to take to go forward to feel more of being yourself? You know who you want to be, and currently on the track you are now, you know it's not going to work this way. So embrace, take the bull by its horns, go forward, Aries. You can do this. And there's going to be some conflict, sure, some maybe there's something going on, maybe you have inner conflict, okay, especially with maybe some spiritual stuff going on, or something about justice or law or what's the right thing, okay, so you might be struggling with a little bit of that, but just keep going forward, especially with the people surrounding you and the community that you're in. This is going to have a whole lot to do with your personal identity, okay? Your personal identity, Aries. This is for Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So that's, how do I feel about myself when I'm in relationship with this person? How do I feel about myself when I'm in relationship to this? Okay, so Aries, that's what you need to be paying attention to. And that's for this weekend. You'll probably feel it Friday, Saturday, particularly more intensely over, Friday and Saturday, but you could have a little bit building up to that. But I really believe in you to be able to make the change, Aries. Make the change because you know it's the best thing for you. Now, the next is for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So now Taurus, this is really going to have a lot to do. You're not going to really know where this energy is coming from. You might be just feeling things and not really realizing it, and kind of like, I don't even know what this is about. Let me say, Taurus, go be outside, cook something, get grounded, get your hands dirty, get your fingers in the soil so that you can get more in touch with what you're feeling. You're probably having a hard time understanding how you're feeling, Taurus, and that's okay. Just hang in there and keep holding still of this, because eventually you will make sense of it, especially as we get to the solar eclipse, okay? But right now you might be having a hard time making sense of how you're feeling and how things are going for you. And so this is for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And so Taurus, just know that if you're feeling something and you don't quite understand it, or you're having some sort of psychic feelings, or there's something about the sort of like your intuition or something, just be aware that that has a lot to do with the astrology. Just go sit with it, get your hands in the dirt, get yourself grounded. It will help a lot. It will really help reveal what this is all about for you, because I assure you that whatever's going on with relationships and communication, that you're just not seeing it right now. And that's okay. That's okay. Now this is for Gemini. This is for Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Now, Gemini, this is going to have a lot to do, this conflict with relationships and communication problems and the such is all going to be happening with people that have power over you. So that's going to be like your boss, your friends, people that you work with, your coworkers. It probably is also going to have to do with like people that are people that are people that you deal with on a regular basis, maybe not people you live with, more likely to be like your friends or your coworkers, or people that have power over you, or the groups that you're connected to. Okay, so there could be some communication issues, there could be some issues in how you're communicating with each other, and even conflict in that area. Okay, so just try to embrace it and see which way it's got to go. Listen to yourself and be sure that you take the time, Gemini, to really sit with your emotions. Take a little walk outside, do a little meditation, do some guided meditation, Gemini. Guided meditation would be really helpful for you to this weekend, like Friday, Saturday. Do some guided meditation to really help you understand someone else's perspective. And I think guided meditations help us do that because someone else leads us through a meditation, right? We're not just in our own minds. So Gemini, take the time to consider someone else's perspective, and a guided meditation can help you with that exercise. Okay. All right, so that's for Gemini, and now this is for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is going to have a lot to do with your work in the world, your career, whatever you do day to day for the world that you present to the world. You're going to have some sort of maybe conflict or something that's going on with your communication, particularly, there could be some sort of like conflict that has to do with work or has to do with getting work done. Maybe you have to make some decisions that are going to change things. But that's okay. Just think it through. I want to say, Cancer, use your brains, think it through, go take a minute to sit down, step away from the situation for a minute, if it's, especially because Mars is in Cancer right now, and Mars can sometimes make you make a decision too fast. So my biggest, and Mars rules Aries. So the reason I'm saying this is that you just might want to take a minute, step outside, or go to the bathroom, or whatever you have to do to remove yourself from the situation for a hot minute before you make any decisions. That's all. Just think it through real good, Cancer, especially whatever it has to do with work. There will be some sort of conflict. Try not to get caught up in it. When it happens, just walk away, take your minute, because you know you're better than that anyway, Cancer. And you're way more grounded than that. Cancers are actually one of the most grounded water sign. And so I would say that Cancer, you can really walk through this in a practical way if you just take that time out. Okay. Don't be afraid to put yourself in time out for a minute. Okay. All right. So now Leo, this is for Leo's Sun, Moon, and Rising. Leo, you are having spiritual awakening every day. This year is going to be so intense for you. And you're having spiritual awakenings, things to do with the law and things to do with higher learning and education. So if you find yourself learning and leaning into things and really being educated by things, as well as dealing with the law and dealing with justice, and there could be some communication issues that could be quite difficult, but just know that the universe is leading you in a particular way there, Leo, and it is trying to help you deal with not just the law and justice, but also with like higher learning and spirituality and awakening and awareness. Okay, Leo? So hang in there, Leo. You're going to be okay. You are going to experience a spiritual awakening this week with Venus and Mercury in there. They're going to push on that energy for you, and you might just really find yourself having a hard time understanding it. Just hang in there. What would I tell you to do with this conflict? I would tell you to engage in creativity, Leo. Get creative. Get tapped into some sort of creative energy. That's going to help you heal this out. Okay. That's going to help you work this out, Leo. Lean into that creative energy, because that's what's going to help you work through this. Okay. So, that's for Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Now for Virgo, Virgo, whew, man, did you survive last week? Whew, okay. Glad you made it. That was intense, right? Whoa, what happened? And it's okay. It's okay, Virgo. Mercury's retrograde. I know that the words aren't quite coming out of your mouth the way they should be. And Venus is pressing on relationships, and you're really thinking a lot about that, and hopefully really taking time to contemplate what these relationships mean to you and how deeply you want to be in them or involved in them, or where you want to go with them, or how you want them to develop. And I understand that, Virgo. So all of that is happening all at once while these eclipses are happening in your sign, bringing change, letting you let go of old patterns that you no longer need or want, or that no longer serve you. And I think this weekend, you're just going to feel more of that shedding. And maybe you'll be able to process some of it. I would just be careful about what you're saying to who. Be careful. And maybe take more time to be with the earth. Maybe take a little bit more time to even just journal or write. And I would say that also taking time to reflect on what it is that you appreciate, what was good in your life as a child, what was good for you, and what wasn't. And maybe even make a list of comparing those things and deciding how you're going to live your life now as an adult. Because while we're children, we have no choice in the matter of what's happening to us. When we're adults, we do have a choice, and we can make different choices, and we can change things for ourselves. So Virgo, don't be afraid to let go of that old crap moving forward. I know that you felt it last week. I know that that Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde was a little bit intense this week. Just go ahead and ruminate through what you got this week and this weekend. Get in touch with what that is. Make lists, write things down, journal. That's what's really going to be helpful for you, Virgo, is to really write things down and really get in touch with that shadow self. Do a lot of that shadow work, okay, Virgo? And now, as we go forward, this is for Libra. This is for Libra, sun, moon, and rising. Libra, oh, relationships. Why does it seem that relationships are at the center of your life all of the time, right? Okay, so just saying, oh my. So Libra, I'm just going to say that the thing about this is that relationships are hard for Libras in general, okay? Because Libra always wants everything to be fair and equal. And the fact of the matter is that things aren't usually that way. We'd like them to be, that's ideal, but it's not usually that way. And that's hard for Libra. And Venus is retrograde. And I know that the inner child in you is stomping your feet saying that's not fair. And you're right, it's not. And while Venus and Mercury are conjunct and they're both retrograde, you could say some things that maybe you didn't want to say. And with the South Node having just left your sign, I know that you've let a lot of things go and you might feel like you haven't said those things quite yet. Well, that's probably what's going to happen. So if you do say something that you're like, ooh, I don't know if I should have said that, that's okay, Libra. It's okay. It's okay. Just consider that maybe possibly that's the way it's supposed to happen. That's what's supposed to happen. And maybe you're supposed to apologize. Maybe you're supposed to let that little thing slip. Whatever it was, Libra, this weekend it's going to come out and you're going to speak your truth. And sometimes that's just from a Scorpio rising over here. Where speaking my truth is my theme song. I'm just going to say, Libra, sometimes that just has to happen. Okay. So try not to beat yourself up about it. I know that it's really hard for you to always speak your truth, but let me just say, you will probably say it anyway. Okay. And the best way to deal with that is maybe talk to some friends that are not involved or some people that are less in the middle of the conflict. And instead, maybe with other people. Okay. Or talk to a friend or process it with someone else you trust. Okay. So that would probably be the best way to rectify this week's conjunction. And you could find some healing in that. You could speak your truth, Libra, and then bam, and then suddenly find some sort of answer to things. Okay. Find some sort of life path that puts you forward in a good way. Okay. So it's not necessarily bad. Just because of what you said maybe wasn't the way you wanted to say it, it probably will work out for the best. Okay. And that's the interesting thing about astrology is even when we screw up, oh, we were supposed to screw up. Oh, okay. All right. So now for Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising. Now, Scorpio, this is going to have a lot to do with your creativity and your day-to-day life. So that's going to be a lot like your creativity or children, okay? Especially with the Aries energy, you might say something about children maybe you didn't mean to say, or take an action a little too fast. So just go slow. Try to wait before you make any decisions, Scorpio. Try to take that pause, think about it for a while. There's no rush right away unless you have to make a decision, then fine, make the decision. But with Venus and Mercury, I would just say your creative energy is there. So I would say try to, Scorpio, try to just go within. And I know I can say that to a Scorpio and they know exactly what that means. Go within, go underground, and really sit with how you're feeling. Really think about what you're feeling. And this week, as Venus and Mercury are conjunct, you might say something that you didn't quite mean to say or whatever, and that's okay. You can always change it later. You know that, Scorpio. And the thing is that just allow yourself to be who you're going to be today, this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and just allow that, whatever that creative energy or that thing in romance or that thing that has to do with children, just allow that to unfold exactly as it should, and just try to slow it down. So make sure you take time to do your yoga or your meditation, Scorpio. Take that time to go within. Okay, that's really important. Now, now this is for Sag, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Now this will probably have to do for you with a lot of your childhood, okay, or your family of origin, or your home, the home you grew up in, okay. So there could be some conflict around that. There could be some understanding around that, some awakenings around that, okay. And this is really good energy though for you, because I'm going to say that Sagittarius, this is going to really help you understand yourself more. It's going to help you get in touch with who you are, and it's going to help you change exactly who you are. In fact, it will even help you with your values and thinking things through. So, just get in touch with that part of it. And, yeah, there's some parts of your childhood probably that weren't so great, and you might need to talk about it, and that's okay. Especially if, you might just, people that have Mercury retrograde in their chart may not experience it quite that intensely. Like they might experience it in a slightly different way. Like it might be more all of these things, regardless, doesn't matter what sign you're in. If your Mercury was born retrograde, you might find yourself with a little bit more at ease. Okay. And so you might be able to talk about things or come to a better understanding about where you came from. Okay. Particularly the house you grew up in and the family you grew up in. Okay, Sagittarius. And don't be surprised if your parents or somebody like that sends a message, somebody related to you. They could even drive you a little crazy. They could trigger you. All right, so now this is for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Capricorn, oh, this week. You are going to be this is going to be all about your community and the people that are directly surrounding you, the people you live with, and siblings. Okay, siblings. So if you find yourself in conflict with your siblings, try to take a walk, try to go outside, get grounded, get in touch with the earth. Make sure you try to connect with the earth, because Capricorn, that's really your best way of dealing with this, okay? Because it's going to feel very ungrounding to you, and that's going to send you off a little bit, okay? And I think the best way to handle that is to get grounded, to go outside, touch the earth, hug a tree, hold a rock, watch the birds fly away, watch the sunset, whatever you need to do, get outside, okay, Capricorn? And I think that that's actually your best plan for this weekend. And this is for Saturday. Friday, Saturday, you might be feeling it, a little bit of a conflict with a sibling. Okay. So that's for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Now, if you don't have a sibling, it'll probably be your neighbors or somebody like that, or people that you're in your community. Now this would be Aquarius. Aquarius. The thing I'm going to say about Aquarius is that Aquarius, Pluto is there. And I don't know where your placements are in Pluto. I mean, in Aquarius, if they're in the first like 5 degrees, it's probably pretty intense for you right now. But I will say that there's probably a lot going on with money. There might be something that you have to talk out a little bit in regards to money. Maybe you have to work something out or make some actions or make some decisions regarding money. It'd be good to talk it out. Okay, Aquarius, talk it out with somebody you trust. That will be really helpful. And make sure, even someone that is above you or better than you, or a friend or something, or someone you work with, just talk it out, because that'll help you work out what you should be doing in regards to money and values. Because Aquarius, that's what you're dealing with this time. And there could be some conflict about the way you talked about it, maybe in relationship, somebody that you share money with or doing financial dealings with or something like that. Something to do with money. Okay, Aquarius? All right, one more. Now we have Pisces. Oh, Pisces, you're always last, huh? Pisces, what I'm going to say about it is that this also has to do with your personal identity. Your personal identity is exactly what will be affected with this transit. These two are going to just really intensify things for you. It's really going to push forward about who you feel you are and what your values are and what that means to you and what kind of person you are. So Pisces, you're really going to be connected to what that all means to you. What does that mean for you? Who do you want to become? These are the kind of questions you should be asking yourself, Pisces. Ask yourself, who do I want to be? Who do I want to become? How am I going to get there? And how do I need help? Because Pisces, you probably need help and you haven't asked for it. Okay, so I'm just going to say, ask for help. Ask for people around you that love you and care about you, that you can trust, that want to help you. Get them to help you. Get them on board. Get them to support you, because Pisces, that's going to be your best bet. Okay, you're probably going to struggle with some sort of relationship, but it's going to have more to do with you. Maybe they're attacking you. Maybe they're pointing something out about you that you don't like so much about yourself, or something like that, especially with Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde at the same time. I just feel like that's going to put a lot of pressure on your personal identity. Okay, Pisces. So just be aware that your personal identity is under pressure right now, and that's okay. And just allow that to come through, and try to embrace it. Try to see their side of it. I know that you're capable of doing that. Pisces can see everyone else's perspective. So that's what you should be doing. Spend some time, go soak in the tub. Okay? Spend some time thinking about it.
Yeah.
Do something luxurious or something for yourself. Get yourself in water, Pisces. You're a fish out of water right now. Put yourself back in the water this weekend. Get yourself in the water, because that will help you figure out what you need to do. It will help you get on track.
Wow, that's awesome. Woo! Holy moly.
Woo! Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I'm glad you're all tuning in. And Hannah said, yeah, me, Barbara said, yeah, my Libra Scorpio cusp, and my youngest daughter is a Capricorn Aquarius cusp. She's only 10. Okay. Well, she's still developing. Let me just say, you're not grown up in astrology till you're 30. Alyssa said, if my rising is at 0 degrees Leo, what's the other one I need to listen to, please?
Cancer.
Yeah.
Cancer and Leo.
Yeah, and yeah, I would listen to Cancer.
I'm a 0 Leo moon. I never think to listen to Cancer, but I should. Sometimes I listen to it because our son, his
Cancer rising.
Is Cancer rising. So I've learned, my father was a Cancer, my mother was a Pisces. So both of those obviously have impacted me. What else have we got?
So Hannah said that makes sense. Wow, I feel that deeply. Well, Barbara said, wow, I feel that deeply. Sorry. And then Hannah said, I invited my daughter to join this live. Hopefully she can join us. Okay.
Neat.
Great. Love to have her. And a Taurus moon and rising spot on. Well, that's great,
good.
Chelsea. I'm glad we can make clear of it. And, like I said, poor Taurus is like, what is going on? Go get in the bathtub or something. Go get your hands dirty. Hannah said, this is so me. I'm a Leo rising and I'm dealing with my education and where I fit with it. And higher learning, right, Hannah? Yeah. Sue said, I hope all you're doing well. I'm here so late and have so much fun to learn.
Oh,
well, you can always rewind it and watch it again, Sue. And Hannah, the other thing I want to say is just whatever's happening right now, just remember that no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. So just keep reminding yourself of that as you go through hard troubles, because that will help you start look for the good answers and it will help you get on path faster. Okay. So Alyssa said, my oldest son is an Aries sun and a double Virgo moon and rising. Whew. I'll keep that info in mind with him. Yeah. Oh my. It's gonna really be having an intense time.
Yeah, there's just no other way to put it. I'm trying to find a multitude of some other ways that we could say it, but intense is really, if there's a word that goes with eclipses, that's the word.
Yep. And Sue's also a Virgo. Lots of Virgo.
Lots of Virgos,
here.
Yeah.
Barbara said Libra. Yep. It's so not fair.
Oh, I feel ya. It sometimes feels like that.
Yeah, just go within.
Yeah.
All right. And career and money, blah. I want to lay on the beach and not deal with real life. I understand, Brianna. We all feel that way sometimes.
Yeah.
Hannah said, good grief, and my Pluto is in Libra. Hey, you know what, Hannah? Mine is too. The good news is that
because Pluto is generational, BTW.
Yeah, so it just means that we were born around the same year. And then Hannah, so Pluto and Libra, it mostly means that you'll shift towards harmony in most cases.
Aren't you the generation that was described as watching the change?
Yeah, because we don't want to create any conflict.
Right.
And the next generation was Pluto and Scorpio, which is the millennials.
Right.
And they're like, what? That's wrong, because Pluto's exalted, because Pluto's in its ruler.
Integrity, please.
Yeah, Pluto's. And then, so all the Pluto and Libra people are like, oh, no, they're right. That's true. And so a lot of our generation, Hannah, you'll watch, we'll start shifting towards the millennial perspective. Okay?
And the millennial, the great thing about Pluto and Scorpio is absolutely everyone should have clean water. Absolutely we're entitled to clean air. Absolutely everyone should have equality. It's very, very, I can't wait to see what they all do. People accuse millennials of being very entitled, but I'm like, yeah, but they act entitled on the right things. Air, water, justice, integrity. These are very excellent scorpionic qualities. And of course, Pluto rules Scorpio, Pluto Mars rules Scorpio. Mars and Pluto are considered higher octaves of each other. But when we talk about Pluto, we're always talking about the underworld. What's underneath this? What's underneath this? That's where the transformation is in Pluto. That's why we call Pluto the transformational planet, because it's all about getting deep and getting in there and going, well, what we really should do.
Yep. Okay. And Alyssa said, so this is probably an odd question, but I listened to my late husband's and father of our kiddos sign to see what it would be like if he were still Earth side. If something is mentioned about his children, would that still apply to our children now? Probably, Alyssa. Probably. Probably. But it might not be his interaction with them. It could be, depending on if they're still sort of working through that grief. Okay. So I'd have to look at his chart and the kid's chart to make more sense of it. But I would say, yeah, probably. Okay. And then Hannah said, water signs, we need to get into the water. Yes. Scorpios, Cancers, and Pisces, go jump in the water, get wet. Libra does not like confrontation.
Not one bit.
And Melissa said, I've been missing y'all every week. My granddaughter has softball on Mondays. Oh, well, at least you can come and watch later, Melissa. All right.
We were hoping that if we migrated a little bit later into the evening, it would be easier for folks. And it seems like it. We have a pretty active conversation going on, and that is wonderful. We really appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
So now Hollis is going to do the last magic trick. 3
Melissa said,
cards,
I'm a
past,
Scorpio.
present, and future.
It's too cold. Go get in a hot tub, Melissa. You're just not. Oh, no. You need to meet a Taurus. All right. All right. Let's give a little shuffle. You want to read that?
I see my weekend clearly. Libra, Capricorn, Aries. I'll speak my mind, stir shit up with my Pisces rising boyfriend, and he'll retaliate and not listen or try to grow even though he should. Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
That's
a sense of humor is really going to help.
Yeah, that will help. Let me just say this. I like to make this clear, because while astrology is very accurate predicting tool, there's always free will at play.
Of course.
And free will is when we decide to heal or not heal, when we decide to express a sign in the shadow or the light, when we decide to go left or right. And those decisions do make a difference, but we will still express the stuff in our chart, but we'll express it through shadow if we choose the darkness. We'll express it, through trauma if we don't heal, right? Okay, so like people that are very traumatized, they may express those parts of their chart in a more shadowy way, or they won't express certain things in their chart at all because it will be covered up with trauma. And then as you heal the trauma, a lot of times those things will sort of emerge. Okay. Oh, Brighthawk, why don't you show some crystal grids?
Oh, yeah.
There's some people in here that were interested in them.
So I make crystal grids from the trees that fall in the forest. And so you can see they're pine. They're double-sided. So I try to have different themes on either side. I've just finished these. This one has to just a couple of sprayed here. Tree of Life. And of course the lotus. So the beautiful thing about a crystal grid, what is a crystal grid? And we include a set of crystals with it. So crystals, as you know, they are the frequency and energy they hold doesn't change. Our energy changes about every minute. We're all over the map, right? And so when we find it hard to hold our intention or stay focused, here's another Tree of Life one, and then a little mushroom scene on the other side. So crystal grids are a fantastic way to set an intention and have that energy and that intention held for you with the crystals. So you don't have to sit there and feel like, okay, I lost focus. I was trying to stay focused on whatever it is you want to stay focused on. So of course, they're wonderful for, especially if you're a healer, and so many of us in this community are. If you're doing readings, that's actually how this all came about. I was creating these pine paintings, and Hollis was like, oh, this is the perfect crystal grid. I can make it like a little mini altar when I'm doing a reading for someone, when we go out and do ceremony with someone or do readings in a, like a Pride or whatever. Hollis will always set up their crystal grid. It's a really wonderful way to support your healing and keep a focus and an intention going when that's very difficult to do all by yourself. And so we provide the crystals. They're double-sided. They're only $100. The crystals are included. If you're interested, you can go to my website, brighthawkproductions.com. I have an Etsy store. I apologize. I don't have every single thing I've done listed in the Etsy.
These ones that she just now finished are just now. So you have to kind of like message us and say, hey, Hollis, Hey, Hollis, or Bright Hawk, I really wanted to get that one with the lotus flower on it or something like that. Just let us know and we'll get it to you.
Yeah.
And and I can even specifically pick out certain stones for you with whatever intention you have, because you put these stones on there and you just meditate over top of it, or you do your spell or whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is you're focusing on, and you can even leave them set up. I've left them set up for long periods of time, for days, months, and I just come back and sometimes I was having some anxiety issues and some health issues, and I would just come over top of my grid and I would just get grounded, because I was having a lot of health problems.
And it's amazing how quickly you can reconnect with the vibration and the energy and the intention once you set it up. So for the greatest good of all, may there be healing, or whatever it is. It's an easy one to go with. And then later, I need to tap into that healing vibe. It's like going to the well.
Yeah, and you can always
glug, glug, glug.
And we try to set them up so that Bright Hawk can do
good.
one on one side that's more grounding, and the other side is more like third eye awakening or something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Barbara said they're really beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
And yeah, Melissa.
Oh, thanks, Cheryl.
Melissa, you should definitely know that trauma will cover up certain expressions in your chart, or whatever happened to you the trauma will be expressed through those placements in your chart, through the shadow usually. Okay. Yeah, we're still deep in our grief, right? And Barbara said, beautiful.
Thank you.
The energy of the paintings really accentuate them. I agree, Cheryl.
And I just so you know, I do paint them with a tremendous amount of intention. I've learned over time that how to treat the wood so that they don't crack. That was a very big learning curve the first year of creating different ones, and then realizing, oh, okay, I have to do this, this, and this.
And all of these have spiritual meaning. A lotus flower is about blooming into yourself, becoming who you authentically are, healing. The lotus flower represents healing and expressing authentically as you can. And then if you flip to the other side, this is about grounding and getting in touch with the earth and getting in touch with who you are and the living being that is you. And I think one side is grounding and one side is more like third eye or grow, right? Like this is the flower of life, which reminds us that we are connected to all beings. And then, of course, here it is, the mountains, which often also reminds us of a similar thing, but from a more grounded perspective, where we understand that we're not only connected to each other, but we're also connected to the earth. Spend a little time in the mountains and you'll have that awareness. So, yeah. And a lot of people really love them, Bright Hawk. I think they're really gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
Melissa said she likes the mushroom one.
Thank you for saying that. Mushrooms aren't so much my thing, but I get that a lot of people love them. So I've been learning how to make friends with that energy as well.
And you won't find grids like this anywhere else.
Yeah, we've pretty much investigated that. And what you'll find usually is something printed on a cloth, kind of like a laser print, or something that's digitally printed, and that just has a different vibration.
Yeah.
But and I listen to a lot of sacred geometry and mystery school teachings while I'm painting them, so there's that energy in it as well.
So she's putting her magic energy into it at the same time. And Cheryl said, I use grids for self and others.
Good.
Yeah, I agree, Cheryl. I use it when I'm at readings. I put it right in the middle of my altar while I'm doing readings for other people. Especially I'll put it up either on the grounding if I'm feeling ungrounded, or I'll even put my third eye side up so that I can enhance my third eye if I feel a little too grounded, especially like if I've been setting up with Bright Hawk for the last hour and a half and now I have to sit down and do psychic readings. It's like you went from sweating physically to now tapping into someone's aura, you know. So it's definitely helpful for that, switching gears.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks. Yeah, you can, that's our astrology, Melissa. Yep. Cheryl wants one. All right, Cheryl. And Annie said, beautiful. Watching this every Monday has really helped me deal with everything that comes my way. I'm so thankful for you guys. You're so welcome,
that's
Carrie.
Great.
And oh wow, the mountain scene. Exactly, Bianca. Like it just makes you, reminds you, right?
Whenever I look at that one,
Melissa's got a new idea. Do you ever do a beachy
place.
one? You definitely paint beaches.
Oh, very interesting. I do have a beautiful, wow, I think it's 3 foot by 2 foot canvas. That's a sunset beach scene. We have a jacuzzi tub, so you can lay in the bathtub in the jacuzzi tub and stare at this beautiful beach scene.
It's in our Airbnb.
To me, when I look at that scene, it's very reminiscent of a beach in Hawaii, not far from Waimanalo. And it's just puts you in that sweet vibe where it's just a little curling wave and the sunset and the birds and tiny little island in the background on the horizon. I've never tried to translate that big painting into a little one, but thanks for the idea.
Barbara, I just want to answer your question real quick so I don't forget it. Is that actually most of this most of what's happening right now with the eclipse season that's related to the eclipse season with relationship and conflict and such will come to a conclusion at the solar eclipse, or at least you'll know the answer to the problem by then, which is March 29th. Okay? By early April, you should really start feeling the release of things.
The good news is the Venus retrograde and the Mercury retrograde won't go on forever. By mid-April, both of them, I think, go direct. So when that happens, some of what we've been talking about after the eclipses, a couple weeks later, then we'll have the retrogrades end. You'll start to probably feel like, thank you for taking the house off my head, you know?
Right, yeah. Melissa said she has a cloth one. And that's also related to what Hannah's saying, which I think the energy from the tree can help. Yeah, what I want to say about that, Hannah, I'm with you, Hannah. I feel like the materials that are helping to make my magical item on my altar are very important. And I think the fact that Bright Hawk goes out into the national forest and hand picks trees that have fallen from the beetle bug that usually would be like matchsticks laying in the Rocky Mountains in the forest, which Hannah, as you know, being a local Coloradan, that in Colorado, that's something we worry about. We don't want our forests to burn down. It's scary to think about. It's terrible for everyone in the surrounding area, and it destroys wildlife homes and things like that. So a lot of us are kind of like, ooh, we don't want to get a fire started there. So a lot of times people will come through and clean the fallen trees up because otherwise they're just kind of sitting there like little matchsticks. They're not so small, right? They're huge trees, but someone has to clean them up. And so that's what Bright Hawk does. She goes out there, she finds trees that have already fallen, she cuts them, and then she treats them so that they don't crack, and then slowly paints them one at a time. It takes her usually a week or more to paint each one. So they're hand done, and she does each one with thought and care to think about how you're putting that together. And Hannah, you know as well as I do, and Melissa, I'm sure you know this too, if you're doing something energetically, it matters how it was made. And not that technology is a bad thing, because it's not. I don't have any problems with technology, but I think when someone puts their energy into it, it makes it more valuable, at least in my opinion. And so I think that when it's hand painted, it makes the energy stronger.
Well, and as a musician, I'm somebody who plays a natural djembe drum. It's made from African hardwood, from African goat skin. And if you get to know these things, every life is energy. So when we're honoring the natural energies of where things come from, they become part of the magic. I just don't feel the same when I play a drum that is made out of plastic and metal. It's just not the same for me. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that there's instruments, but that vibration is not the same as wood and
Just like this rattle, right? Like this rattle, I bought it from
it's different than a plastic rattle.
I bought it from La Crosse's Taino Center in Pennsylvania, and I think that it's more valuable because they handmade it.
Yeah.
Because I think his brother makes them. But either way, it was handmade. It's made by natural items, and that changes the energy of an item. It makes the energy more valuable or more magical. The more natural it is, or the more connected it is to living beings, I think the more powerful it is. So
thanks for all the great comments. I really appreciate all the interest that you guys have shared with that. It's just lovely.
And Hannah said, I've never heard of crystal grids, but I'll read on that. Yeah, you can Google it. And Go Records.
Oh my God, Cheryl, I'm working on a turtle right now. I would show it to you, but it's too midway.
Okay. I'm just gonna say Go Records. Does my love interest care that I was angry with him today? Probably. But what I'm gonna say is that that's the astrology. When we're done here, you might want to rewind and listen to the horoscopes, because Go Records, that will help you understand what happened. And I'll also probably give you some pointers on how to handle the ongoing issue, because it'll probably happen again this weekend. Okay. A sea turtle. Yeah, I think that would be kind of cool. You could even do like the sea turtle shell that has like a little world on it. Where do you sell them?
Super easy. I'm totally working on a cute little turtle right now. I'll show it to you when I'm done.
Okay, Donna, I understand. I used to do that kind of work in the world. You can buy them right at Bright Hawk's page. You can also just message me, Donna, because these aren't up on her Etsy store yet, because she just painted them and we haven't had a chance. She's getting ready for a show. But if you want one of these that we've just shown off, plus I think there's a couple more on Etsy left over, and plus I think you wanted some special stones, and I'll pull out those stones just for you. All right, no problem. And Cheryl said, bet that's gorgeous. It is.
Thanks.
Melissa said, you're speaking my language now. I love sea turtles. So do I. Yeah, I feel that too, Hannah. I connect with trees as well. And saving the forest from fire and making beautiful art. What a better, right? That is like, that makes it super magical. Good karma and everything all wrapped into one grid, right? Oh, that's awesome, Hannah. I'm so glad that you're crocheting. I love that you create things. Handmade is so much better, isn't it? Always. Definitely handmade adds value. It gives connection to the artist, right? And who wouldn't want to be connected to the wonderful Bright Hawk? Okay. Carrie said, I just noticed the birch trees and the rainbow tapestry behind you. That's actually a painting.
I've done
That's Bright Hawk's painting there.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about doing a smaller one. I've done this painting. It's quite popular. I've sold it a number of times, so I've done it at least a half dozen times, and it's really fun to share.
Well, Go Records, Venus is in retrograde, so it is time for you to question that exact thing. Sounds like you're right on track, Go Records. So just keep going, keep questioning it, and make sure you look in deeper. Let's look. You can always book an astrology reading with me. I'll be happy to look at that for you. Donna says, thank you. And, whoa, we jumped around there. Okay, can't wait to see it.
Can't wait
Thank
to
you
show
both.
it.
We are so very grateful to you both. You're welcome. I love trees. Barbara said, I love trees. My daughter does too. She has favorite trees and hugs them since she was little. Me too, Barbara. I love trees.
Good. That's so great.
I love trees too.
I
All
love
right.
that our closest neighbors are about, 50,000 trees.
Mm-hmm.
We back the Roosevelt National Forest, Arapahoe National Forest.
Yep. All right. So I pulled 3 cards for you.
Wow. What do the cards say?
You can always book with me at Divine Androgen. If you need a deeper insight or anything like that, you can book a reading with me. The first card I'm going to say here is the Hermit card. And the Hermit card is about have you been thinking? Have you spent a little time by yourself? Have you taken some time for insight? Hopefully this past weekend, maybe there was some time you took alone or something, or time that you did something. And that's what's really important about the Hermit card, is going within. Okay. And this is really important because you needed to go within. Um, and it's really important because it's time for you to like think things through or feel things, okay? And that's really what the Hermit card is about. It will shine the light on the things that are invisible to you, okay? So this is very, very important card. This is about the past, that time that you've spent being quiet and thinking to yourself. And now this is the Death card. It doesn't necessarily mean death. It could mean death, but probably not, since we're all not going to just suddenly die. This is actually has more to do with change. Something is leaving. Something is dying off. Something must change, and you are going forward. And while some things might be hard to let go, some things are time to move forward. And if you pay attention to this Grim Reaper looking guy is riding on this horse, right? Which already implies that he's bringing a message or bringing something forward with his flag in hand. But check it out. He's walking on rose thorns, and the horse is being pricked along. And this is the reminder that change is hard. Change hurts sometimes, my friends, and that's okay. And just remember that while change hurts, you're headed in the right direction. You are going in the right direction, and especially the cards are showing that here with the Queen of Wands. This is setting your intention and moving it forward. This is about owning your intention and setting it forward in the most positive way. And that your instinct, your energy, the part of you that knows who you are, the part of you that is pulling from the most intuitive part of who you are, that is what is going forward. And that's what will come into play in the next week. You will step forward with your intentions, and this will really pull you forward and really help you feel inspired and help you feel like, wow, that's really what I needed. And that's going to really inspire you going forward. So that's what's important about the Queen of Wands. Okay, it's about an inspiring step forward with your intentions. Now, remember, the Hermit card was in the past. What were you thinking about when you were alone this past week, or maybe today, maybe yesterday? What were you thinking about? What were you contemplating? What part of you was sort of ruminating on something? Venus and Mercury in retrograde. I know you've been thinking about something. Something's going through your head, and that's okay. That's what's supposed to happen, because change is hard sometimes. Just remember that, and just keep going with it. Keep going forward. Know this is the path. This is the path forward, and this is really important, okay? Even if you do prick your feet along the way. And so as you're going forward, just be prepared. Be prepared to embrace your best intentions, to be inspired. Grab that wand, grab that inspiration, and move forward with your greatest instinct, which is this here is the Cat of Wands. And I mean, this here is a cat, and cats are very instinctual, and they're also very precise. So be aware of your own precise energies and your intentions. That's what this card is about. Is about setting your intentions going forward, and they will be blessed by spirit. And that's what the Queen of Wands is all about.
Wow, that's an incredible reading.
I love these cards.
Look, you got a lot of feedback that's like, woo!
Yeah, and you know what? These cards, Donna, this is an LGBTQ deck. Love is love deck. Every single one of these cards are a different LGBTQ artist. So any of the cards are, all of the cards are done by a different queer artist of some sort. And I think it's really beautiful. There's like these kinds of cards where you're like messages from spirit. And then, you know, there's also intense cards that are a little bit different, like this, which is a person going through some troubles. But look at that, right? Okay, so I think it's a really special deck. I really love this deck. I love working with these cards. Thanks, Hannah. I really love them too.
Well,
They're really awesome.
I can't even believe this has gone on for almost 2.5 hours. So I hope you enjoyed this. We hope you have a great week. It's been really fun conversing with you. Feel free to book a reading with Hollis at divineandrogynic.com.
Or order a crystal grid.
Thank you so much for your compliments about my art. As an artist, we live for little things like that. It really helps us keep going. So thank you so much. We wish you all the very, very best. Definitely tune in next week when we talk about that solar eclipse coming up. And remember, Rainbow Soul Astrology, we just try to help you and be a bridge between you and the stars. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Be good to yourself.
Yeah, give yourself some love.
Thank you for listening to this week's Soul Astrology and subscribing, liking, sharing, and reviewing. We hope you enjoy this dose of Soul Astrology and encourage you to embrace the week ahead with an open mind and heart so that you may integrate the deepest of lessons from the stars. Take a moment to step outside and honor the planets, stars, and moon in the sky with your heart. Integrate the messages that resonate and leave the rest for someone else. We deeply appreciate each and every one of you. Always remember that you are a perfectly unique human with an exclusive star map of your destiny, your soul purpose, and your heart's desire. Thank you again for tuning in to Rainbow Soul.